Behalf of the entire ACMi sports crew, welcome to our feature production this afternoon. Now, the Spy Ponders enter this matchup with a 2-3 record on the season. They've struggled recently, losing 2 straight games, obviously last week losing in Reading. Now, Belmont, on the other hand, has been dominating. They've won 2 straight games. They enter this matchup with a 3-2 record on the season. Now, there's a bitter rivalry between these two teams, so it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup between them as the Spy Ponders search for a much-needed win to break this losing skid, and Belmont looks to continue their dominance and get their 3rd straight win. What will happen? Only time will tell. Until then, let's throw you back up to the booth with our commentary team of Brendan Locke and Miles Donato.
Hello and welcome into Mary Pierce Field, where we bring you this Middlesex League action between the Arlington Spy Ponders and the Belmont Marauders. As Nick mentioned down on the field, Belmont has a record of 3-2. Both teams on 2-game streaks of very different types. Arlington on a 2-game losing streak, Belmont on a 2-game winning streak. They are 2-0 in the Middlesex League division. Hello and welcome in, everyone. My name is Brendan Locke, alongside Miles Donato. Miles, 2 different streaks that we have going right now. What does Arlington have to do to flip their own streak and start a winning streak?
Get the ball to Caden Mills, but also use the passing game. Have a good balance of both. That's how this team win games, is if they're not just relying on Mills and they're not forced to pass the ball the entire game. When they get that nice balance where Mills gets that 15, 16 carries a game, that's when they are at their best. 15 carries, when they split the carries and passes down the middle. Let's see if they can do that.
All right, thank you, Miles. We are going to kick down for the national anthem. Miles, easily the headline for this Arlington team is Caden Mills.
Yes, for sure. 600 rushing yards on the season, 680 actually, and he has 14 touchdowns already in the season, despite playing 4.5 games. It's been very impressive. Averages about just under 3 touchdowns a game. He had 3 last game against Reading, 2 receiving touchdowns, and the pick 6 at the beginning of the game. He is the workhorse back for this Spy Ponders team. He is the number 1. The other player that is key in this game is Gavin Carrero, the captain. He's out there on the coin flip right now. This is his first game back since injury. He got hurt in that Stoneham game during warm-ups, and he missed 3 games, and Emil Bashwadi had to play for him. But this is his first game back. The captain for the Spy Ponders, the leader of that offensive line, he is back, and he is playing.
What about for Belmont? A tandem in their backfield, 2 seniors.
Yeah, Jaden Arno and Adrian Garung, 2 seniors. They've been playing together since their sophomore year when Jaden Arno got the starting job. He's been a starter for all 3 years, and he's a good quarterback with the ability to throw it for 50 yards.
So, Miles, as you were saying about these two, Belmont in the backfield, two seniors.
Yeah. Jaden Arno, Adrian Grung, number 3, quarterback, number 1, Grung, the running back. He had a very impressive season last year, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. He will be getting the majority of the carries. They are both 2 of 6 captains for the Belmont Marauders. And they will lead this team to try and beat the Spy Ponders.
So, Belmont will be set to receive the kick. A spectacular 60 degrees. Beautiful weather for some Middlesex League football.
I love the Sunday games.
Saturday
Saturday games, sorry. You get one a year in the MIA. You need to not have a Friday game. So
Peter
every team-
Harrison stepping back to kick. Austin Lasseter back to receive. And instead it's Wayne Scalfini. He gets out over the 20 and will set this Belmont offense up at about the 22.
Rory Forrest, the big hit, the middle linebacker for the Spy Ponders, setting the tone early. Now let's see what Arno can do. He came into his sophomore year when I was playing against him. He came into this game. We did not know who he was. He wasn't even on the roster, and he had a very impressive game. He has an impressive arm for having a small stature.
Arno in the shotgun, 3 to his left, 1 to his right, running back off of his right hip. Lasseter sent in motion and a low snap that picks up a couple of yards. That's Adrian Grung on the carry, the absolute workhorse back for this Marauder offense.
Snapping has been an issue for the Belmont Marauders for around 3 years now, where they've had multiple missed snaps a game. Let's see if they can fix that issue here in this game. They already had 1 missed snap on the first one.
It's a jet sweep to Lasseter, trying to get around the corner, and he is met there by Caden Mills, along with Trapostis.
Trapostis, who had a good game last game against Reading, got a couple tackles. And his brother, which Trapostis was it, 34?
Alex.
Alexi Trapostis, the freshman,
Alexi.
playing cornerback. He's been starting for about 2 weeks at cornerback.
So a 3rd and medium for Belmont. Arno once again in the shotgun with Garung off of his right hip. Takes a snap, pressured as he's thrown. He flips it out to Garung, who spins away from a tackler and gets out across the 35-yard line. That will move the chains for the Marauders. Really well done there by Arno, hanging in, hit as he's thrown, and he flips it off to Garung to move the chains.
Beautiful spin move from Garung, keeping his team moving here early in the game. Gets the first down.
So a fresh set of downs for the Marauders. And Garung once again in the shotgun. They give it up the middle to Garung, and he picks up about 5. And so that will set up about 2nd and 5. Marauders moving the ball well on this first drive. No negative plays. Arno takes a snap and gives it up the middle to Garung, who fights just past the line of scrimmage.
Another third down for the Belmont Marauders. Garung made the play on the last one. This Belmont team will run the ball a lot. They run the ball 70% of the time, 74% of the time throughout the season so far.
So, we have not seen any wide receivers yet involved for Belmont. But they threw it on their last third down attempt. And it's play fake. Garung up the middle. He's tripped up. No, he's breaking into the clear. He's across the 40. Mills pushes him out of bounds at the 25-yard line. That's a huge gain for the Marauders.
Somebody clipped his legs on the run, but he kept his footing and broke free for good yardage. Garung making his name known early in this game.
So a successful drive thus far for the Marauders. And it's another jet sweep to Lasseter, trying to get around the corner, and Mills makes a nice play coming across the line there for a gain of about 4. Belmont doing a really nice job staying ahead of the sticks, keeping everything manageable. This offense has not had a negative play yet. They've had 2 third downs, but they've both been less than 5 yards. Everything has been very manageable thus far for Arno and company.
And that's the game plan for the Marauders. Just run the ball and then maybe catch you sleeping, throw with Arno.
Arno with a quick screen out to Logan, who makes a man miss. Makes another man miss, and he's still on his feet down inside the 10-yard line.
He's hit hard by Mills.
He stepped out at about the 10.
He broke so many tackles to make that play before getting hit out of bounds by Mills.
So it will be a 1st and goal for the Belmont Marauders. A methodical drive thus far, chewing up nearly 5 minutes of clock, keeping that Arlington offense off of the field. Arno gives it. No, he kept it. He's trying to get to the pylon, and he gets tripped up just short of the 5.
Arno has the ability to run the ball. He did it a couple times throughout his career where he'll just take off, get a good chunk of yards. They trust him with those QB keeps, designed run plays for Arno.
So we dip under 6:30 remaining in the first. 2nd and goal. It's a throw across the middle to Hendrickson. No, excuse me, Logan.
Brian Logan with the touchdown, the other senior captain on this offense. Good throw from Arno to Logan. Logan's a big, tall receiver. You throw it into his general direction, he will catch it. And the Marauders go up 6, potential 7 here.
And the kick is up and good, so 7-0 Marauders. Exactly what they wanted to draw up, a perfect drive. And now Arlington is going to be forced to respond.
They used up exactly half of the quarter's time. 6:06 remaining in this first quarter. It's a beautiful drive. Did exactly what they needed to do. And the Marauders are leading the Spy Ponders. Now will the offense for the Spy Ponders, how will they respond? Will they go with a methodical drive themselves, or will they be explosive like we've seen them do throughout this season?
So, Caden Mills along with Jake Kerbel back deep.
They have the ability to return these kickoffs. They've returned 3 kickoffs this season, a pair of them.
And Austin Lasseter will kick it deep.
Lasseter seems to be their gadget man, do whatever. Kicks.
He's been set in motion multiple times.
Yeah. Jet motions, those. Now he's kicking, field goal. And now this kickoff.
And it's actually a little squib kick. And ducking and taking cover is Peter Harrison. So the Spy Ponder offense will take over at the 38-yard line. Good field position.
Good field position. You have a more healthy offensive line than you've had in the past couple games. You get Gavin Carrero back, your lead man at center. You're still missing 2 starters from the beginning of the year, Will French and Gabe Woolen. French is out with a hamstring injury. Woolen is out with a hand injury. Both are expected back, hopefully, within the next couple weeks for potentially playoffs.
So the Spy Ponder offense led by Roshan Mandal. As this flip out to Mills is met straight in the backfield. A nice tackle by Casey Regan.
So that will go back 4 yards. As Mills, they try to get him to open space, but it's a good tackle by the Belmont defenders. So 2nd and 13, 14.
Mandal sends a man in motion. He gives it to Mills. Running through his tacklers, and he's out in open space. Running over a defender and across the 45. Setting up a Spy Ponder first down.
Beautiful job by Mills, staying patient on the back of Beckenhuis, holding, pretty much pushing Beckenhuis along. Last season, that was me. He puts his hand on him back and just shoves the lineman as far as we can go. Gets a good chunk of yards there.
So, Arlington quickly 2 plays into Marauder territory, looking to answer the Brian Logan touchdown. Mandal in the shotgun, 2 receivers each side. It's a play fake, and Trapostis catches that over the middle.
Alexi Trapostis with his first career reception for the Spy Ponders, the freshman. Roshan Mendel gets the ball to him on that short comeback route.
So, you can do anything here. 2nd and short.
I would take a deep shot to Kerbel.
He's one-on-one at the top of your screen.
Go back.
Instead, they go to Trapostis downfield, but he could not connect.
Ball's just
That
a
was
little bit too
Lasseter
far.
on coverage.
Ball's just a little too far for Alexi Trapostis. He will come off in return for Ori Forrest, who will line up in that wing formation most likely. Trying to get that 1 yard.
So, ball on the 36-yard line, just looking to get a yard here for the Spy Ponders. Spy Ponders on their first drive as we are at 3:47 remaining in the first quarter. Belmont scored on their first drive. Vandal takes a snap. He gives it up the middle to Mills, and it does not look like he got it, depending on the spot.
Frank Roach will not hesitate to go for this on 4th down. But let's see what play he can draw up. As Peter Harrison comes off for Nico Trapostis, the older brother of Alexi. Nico is a junior.
And quickly, a little muddle huddle there from the Spy Ponders. And it's a little tush-push play. Will depend on the spot. Arlington thinks they have it. And it does not look like they do. So the Marauders turn away the Spy Ponders on their first drive.
With 2 attempts for the Spy Ponders, they cannot convert. The offense is still, no.
Looks like they're asking for a measurement. Nope, the refs all agree. Going in the direction for the Marauders. So a 4th down stop.
I think they are going to measure it, or
No.
no. Okay. The Arlington offense comes off the field, and Arno comes on to try and take a 14-0 lead for Belmont. Spy Ponders need a stop here.
Arno gives it to Garung, trying to get around the corner, and he is wrapped up and met there.
Good tackle by Jacob Kerbel, who leads this team in tackles.
And a late flag on, I believe this will be heading backwards.
Did you see what happened?
I did not. It may have been a little late hit on sportsmanlike.
The ref is pointing backwards, but it is personal foul on the offense.
That's Bryce Hubbard for Belmont. So he puts Belmont behind the chains, setting up a 1st and long.
1st and 25.
So we will see Jaden Arno. Will he air it out, try to pick up the 1st down?
Oh, it is 2nd down.
2nd and 25, because it was an after the whistle personal foul, so the play stood. And it's a screen pass to Logan, just picking up what he can. And now it's 3rd and a mile. Miles, how many plays do you have drawn up for 3rd and 20?
I think Belmont team does have that in their locker. They have passed it deep in the past this season. Arno has a decent arm. He can throw it good 50 yards down the field. So they will have a decent amount of plays they can call on, especially sitting in that spread trips formation. That's what I expect them to come out in. They'll go in deuces instead of trips. But, yeah, watch Devin Holloway or Brian Logan here, the two tall receivers.
And we have a whistle, timeout Belmont. So, with 2:12 remaining in the first quarter, Belmont is faced with a 3rd and long. 3rd and 21. Arlington looking to get off the field after they were forced to turn the ball over on downs in Belmont territory.
Spy Ponders hoping for good field position once again, hoping to capitalize on this next drive if they can stop this 3rd and long.
Now, Miles, obviously Belmont only 3-2, but possibly more important than the total record, they are 2-0 within the Middlesex League, and Arlington obviously 0-2 in the Middlesex League. One common opponent between the two in Lexington. Arlington dropped their game to Lexington 2 weeks ago, and Belmont won last week. So some similar opponents.
I don't think you can take much from those two games, though, as the game against the Spy Ponders, the Lexington Spy Ponders game in Lexington 2 weeks ago, was a very rainy game, and Lexington has a grass field, so it was a real mud bowl. You couldn't pass the ball, and then Mills got injured, so it was tough for the Spy Ponders without their workhorse back, having to run the ball 30 times. So it's not indicative of the actual result of what will happen here.
As the Arno pass fell short of the intended receiver, that was Lasseter, and the Marauders will be forced to punt.
The throw from Arno is just short, and the punt will come for Belmont. It's going to be a very interesting finish to the Middlesex League. Reading, who normally dominates, are 1-2, only victory against Arlington. They lost to Winchester last night. Woburn seems like the number one team. They are undefeated on the season.
Scalfini spiraling, pop-up punt, doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage.
The Spy Ponders are right where they were when they missed that 4th down.
A net of 10 yards on the punt. So the Spy Ponder offense will take over in plus territory, a short field for this Marauder defense.
They take over exactly where they lost the ball. It's like it didn't happen. It's like they converted.
So Mandel brings the play into the huddle. And this is the first we've seen of Darian Cherry, the senior running back. And it's a give to Mills, running over a defender, staying on his feet. And
using his arms to stay up, crawling almost on the field.
So that once again sets up a 2nd and short, as we saw on the set of plays where Arlington turned it over. It was a 2nd and short, and then 3 plays that went nowhere. This time it's a give to Cherry, and it looks like he'll pick up the 1st down, and he will.
Not taking the risk, throwing it deep on 2nd down like they did last time. They'll just hand it to Cherry, get him the 1st down, and now they're on the 25-yard line. Let's see what the Spy Ponders can do in the red zone.
We have yet to see Jake Kerbel for the Arlington offense. kind of a big man, deep threat for the Spy Ponders. As Mandal fires over the middle, and it's intercepted by Casey Regan. Coming back the other way, Mandal telegraphed the pass, and Regan was standing there waiting for it.
The attempted pass deep to Mills out of the backfield. He jumps up and he snags that, and that's an interception. That is Roshan Mandel's 6th interception on the season.
So, as soon as it seems like the Spy Ponders had a little bit of momentum,
Gavin Carrero is hunched over on the sideline, seemingly in some pain. His first game back from his knee injury. Let's see if he will get back into this game. Injuries on that offensive line have plagued the Spy Ponders.
Arno gives it off to Grung, who gets planted by Mills, but I believe he picked up the first down out across the 35.
And Grung has that space opened up by the offensive line. He takes that for 8 yards untouched. He's very good at reading the gaps. 30 seconds remaining in this first quarter.
We will see if Belmont wants to snap. It looks like they just want to run this out and wait till the end of the quarter. They will get to the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds left.
And they'll let it run down.
So, after one quarter, Belmont Marauders 7 and the Arlington Spy Ponders nothing.
Belmont 7, Arlington 0.
Miles, your thoughts after the first quarter?
You would, if you're the Spy Ponders, you would hope that you had gotten a touchdown on those 2 drives. But unfortunately, they do not. They throw the interception. They miss that 4th down. And now we will send you down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline.
And what a first quarter we had here in Arlington. Spy Ponders trailing by a score of 7-0, but still a very energetic match between the two teams. Now, we saw some chippiness in that quarter, but that pivotal interception by Rashawn Mandel to close out the quarter leaves the Spy Ponders trailing on both the scoreboard and a momentum sake. Now, there's still a lot of energy here in Arlington. We've got cheerleaders behind us getting ready to go. The crowd is packed here on a Saturday afternoon, but if you're looking for a dynamic football atmosphere, last week in Reading, ACMi Sports had the privilege of traveling to cover that game. Stay tuned at halftime to see that package that we put together about our road to Reading. But with that, I'll throw you back to the press box with Miles Donato and Brendan Locke.
Thank you, Nick. As we are getting ready to go for the third quarter. For the second quarter. Did I say third quarter? I think I said third quarter. As here's a deep shot down to Logan that is incomplete, but there's a flag on the play.
Defensive interference.
That was Mehinthrian on the coverage for the Spy Ponders. A bit of a mismatch there.
Think Manu Mehinthrian tripped. He lost his footing and kind of ran into the receiver. And that was called because even though it was an accident, it is still pass interference.
So Belmont will take advantage of the penalty, and they will get the ball in Spy Ponder territory.
This is where you need big plays from the stars on the defense. Darian Cherry Jacob Kerbel and Mills, see if they can get any big plays to try and change the momentum of this game.
Setter sent in motion once again. A little bit of trouble with the snap from Arno, but breaking into the clear, making a man miss, and he's off to the races. Adrian Garung to the pylon. He scores! Touchdown, Marauders.
Touchdown, Belmont, number 1.
They step out. He stepped out of bounds.
Correction, he stepped out of bounds.
They will call him out of bounds, but it's beautiful rung from Garung as he weaves in through the people trying to tackle him, and he breaks it to the outside, breaking a tackle. They do call him out of bounds, took a step out of bounds, according to the referees.
So he stepped out of bounds at the 10, setting up a 1st and goal. And here's Garung again, but he's met in the backfield. There's Jake Kerbel, the senior, along with Ori Forrest on the tackle.
Ori Forrest was clean through on the blitz. He makes that tackle onto Garung.
7 on the play. Tackle made by number 41, Ori Forrest.
So 2nd and goal from about the 16-yard line. Arlington defense trying to bow up, force a field goal. Arno surveys the Arlington defense, takes the snap, looks, he's flush from the pocket, looking downfield, firing towards the end zone, and
he's
caught out of bounds. That was Brian Logan, the touchdown scorer. He had him in the back of the end zone, but was not able to get a foot down.
Arno running around in the backfield. He's just running around trying to find a man open. He finds one, but it is too far deep in the end zone, and he does not get a foot down.
So a 3rd and 17, 3rd and 16 for Belmont. Miles, if they get the ball to about the 10-yard line, do you think they'll go for it?
On 4th down?
On 4th down.
I think they have a capable kicker, and they've kicked field goals in the past.
So we did see Austin Lasseter, the wide receiver, and the ball is thrown to him now, and there is a flag. So a fresh set of downs on the defensive pass interference call for Belmont. That was exactly what they were looking for. It was a throw over the middle to Austin Lasseter. And a new 1st and goal.
Once again, pass interference, devastating for the Spy Ponders.
Replay, 3rd down.
Oh, I thought it was an automatic 1st down. It's not. So it's a 3rd down and goal. And it's a give up the middle to Garung, who makes it across the 5.
He'll be at around the 3-yard line.
Setting up a 4th and goal and decision time for Coach Brian McCray.
They're going to go for it.
4th down.
They did not even hesitate.
It's a very important potential stop for the Spy Ponders to try and not go down 14.
Tells you confidence that Brian McCray has in his defense as well. Obviously, a turnover on downs and an interception for the Marauders thus far. Kind of daring Arlington to go the full length of the field. Donovan Holloway split way out wide, along with Logan at the bottom of your screen. And we have a timeout Belmont. That is their second timeout of the first half.
Maybe trying to catch Spy Ponders out with the false start. Calling the timeout now, do you think they kick the field goal?
No, I think they still go for it.
They still go for it.
They didn't even seem to hesitate when they lined up, at least. So if you are Coach Brian McCray, Miles, what are you dialing up to go 3 yards?
Inside zone to Adrian Gurung. If you open up a gap, he will find it. See if Belmont does call up an inside zone, or if they go for something different. Maybe like a fade ball to one of the tall receivers, knowing you have a mismatch.
3 big receivers on this Belmont team. Brian Logan, who we've already heard from, he has the touchdown for the Marauders. Donovan Holloway and Will Hendrickson as well.
Long timeout for the Marauders. Very interested to see what this play call is.
Fourth and goal. It looks like a keeper all the way for Arno to the pylon. Did he get in? Yes! Touchdown, Marauders.
Reaching for the pylon. Beautiful reach out from Arno. Oriforus on the attempted tackle, but Arno gets in 4-6. A la Taylor Heineke, diving for those pylons. Now the extra point for the Marauders.
Lasseter. And the kick is up and good. 14-0 Belmont. And this was not the start that the Spy Ponders were looking for.
Not at all. They're down 2 touchdowns. They need a touchdown on this upcoming drive. They need to show that explosivity that they've shown in the past, where they can get touchdowns against teams like Reading. But in this game, it's been not the same explosivity I've seen in the past. Now Reading will be kicking off momentarily, and Mills and Kerbal are back to return, as always, for the Spy Ponders. Oh, I said, my mistake. I might have said Reading instead of Belmont. Thing is, we know that this Spy Ponders team can score. They've done it in bunches. They average 32.2 points scored a game. They do give up a lot. They give up 29.8 versus Belmont's 15.2 given up per game. Belmont's only given up 2 touchdowns in the 2 games in the league against Winchester and Lexington. They gave it 1 each.
End over end kick caught by Kerbal, and it looks like they're going to try to reverse it. And Mills is not brought down. He's out across the 40, running over the kicker across the 50-yard line, setting the Spy Ponders up in tremendous field position once again.
Obviously, the Spy Ponders not getting the start that they wanted, guys. Currently trailing by a score of 14-0. We just saw a great punt return there by Mills, but Spy Ponders are going to need a lot more on offense to kind of propel this game forward and back into their favor. But in terms of the Spy Ponders getting back into it, we're going to need some more offense. Their defense has shined in previous games, but their offense hasn't come alive yet today. They're going to need some time to get back into it. As we see them setting up here, we're going to hope the best for the Spy Ponders offense. But I'll throw back to you guys in the booth. Best of luck to the Spy Ponders here. Hopefully we can get a score.
Thank you, Nick, as that was a big run by Caden Mills. And this Spy Ponder offense is in fantastic position to try to punch it in as we dip under the 9-minute mark in the second quarter.
Mills is really breaking those tackles, getting down low, trying to use his body and strength to knock off defenders.
It's another give to Mills, and he is met there for very little gain. Setting up about a 2nd and 10.
There's 8:20 remaining in this first half. Let's see if the Spy Pounders can answer to only be down 7. We may see a pass play here.
All under center snaps this drive for the Spy Ponders. Ori Forrest in at fullback. And it's play fake to Mills, going downfield to Kerbal. He's got it! Touchdown, Spy Ponders!
Roshan Mandel finds his favorite target, Jacob Kerbal, in the end zone. Rope right into the hands of Jacob Kerbal. Beautiful play for the Spy Ponders. Beautiful response. And that is Kerbal's 7th touchdown on the season. And the extra point by Zambarino.
Zambardino's kick is up and good, and a lightning strike from the Spy Ponders. A 3-play drive. And just like that, it is a 1-possession game. Exactly what the Spy Ponders needed. And they are right back in this thing.
It's exactly what I was saying. Explosivity, and they showed it. 3 plays for 50 yards. And now they will have to stop the Belmont Marauders. Here, now let's take a look at that touchdown by Roshan Mandel. He fakes the handoff and throws it deep to Kerbal, who has the separation, and that was a touchdown.
Sorry, 14. He doesn't have comps.
14-7. No worries.
Peter Harrison to kick.
Lasseter and Scalfini back to catch the kick, and this is Scalfini. Gets out across the 30-yard line.
Ori Forrest once again on the kickoff, making the tackle.
So, can a little bit of momentum get this Spy Ponder defense some juice, possibly a turnover? They have yet to stop the Belmont offense thus far, minus the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that put the Marauders behind the chains.
Donovan Holloway, the receiver for the Marauders, is on the bench getting checked out by the trainer.
And that deep shot down the middle for Lasseter. Arno could not connect.
2nd and 10. Spy Ponders need to stop Gurung. He's been running all over today. Let's see.
So a 2nd and 10 in that oh so familiar 2-wide look for the Marauders. And it's a give up the middle, but he is met.
Henry Tasmere on the tackle. He had an amazing game against Lexington 2 weeks ago where he had 6 tackles, a sack, and had an amazing game on defense from that D-tackle role. He continues that strength into this week with a beautiful tackle for loss.
So a 3rd and long for Belmont. We have seen them try to hit their 2 big wide receivers, Logan and Holloway.
Chavette in the backfield.
Arno will keep it himself and gets around one man, but will not get around Alexi Trapostis.
He's had an amazing game here. Trapostis, 3-ish tackles. Big tackle there, forcing Belmont to punt the ball. Freshman, he will make an impact on this team for the next couple years.
So Arlington forces a 3 and out. And last we saw, the Belmont punter, there was a net punt of about 10 yards.
Motion.
Scalfini, and a high snap. He just gets it off. This one, a much better punt. And it takes an Arlington bounce. So the Spy Ponders will take over, and we are going to head down to Nick Antonakis on the field.
Now, the Spy Ponders guys, they got a much-needed score the last time I was down here on the next play with a touchdown pass to Jake Kerbel, but Spy Ponders now in good field position to possibly tie this game up. The defense stepped up to the plate, they got a big stop, and with 5 minutes, 46 seconds left in the half, Spy Ponders only down 7, and they're set up inside, just outside of Belmont territory, I should say, around their 45. So obviously an extremely pivotal drive for the Spy Ponders here to drive down the field and get involved offensively. We've seen the pass game work so far today. I expect them to go back to that as we travel throughout the rest of this second half, possibly get some more throws in on Belmont's secondary and continue to move down the field. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Nick.
Mills and Roshan Mandel both coming out of the field for this drive. Jacob Kerbel will take a snap at quarterback. He took a good, solid 10 snaps at quarterback in the game against Reading. Now they'll go empty with Kerbel at quarterback.
Kerbel takes the snap. He almost runs into Peter Harrison, and that play goes absolutely nowhere. Arlington missing their tandem backfield.
Little miscommunication between Harrison and Kerbel.
As it's tough to tell, Mandel doesn't look injured at all. Almost looked like this was a scheduled drive.
It is. Mills has his helmet off on the sideline, but I think he's fine just taking a rest. See what they do here.
Interesting time to take a rest, down 7 points mid-second quarter. Kerbel going backwards, and he is wrapped up. A huge play for the Belmont defense, and this drive is going nowhere.
Mills and Mandel come back in. They have a third and very, very long to try and deal with. It's a big deficit.
So 2 plays that end up with a negative 13 yards between the two of them and the regular backfield.
Interesting choice to not
Will
continue with what was working in that previous drive. Try to change it up. Did not work. Now the normal formations will come out.
And it looks like we have a timeout.
Spy Ponders call a timeout.
First start timeout of the half by Arlington.
So, you have 2 plays to get 23 yards, Miles, but you're more looking to just play field position and probably punt it away after these 2
I don't know.
disastrous plays.
Depending on how many yards they get on the first one, I don't know if they punt. If they get within 10 yards, I assume they don't punt, considering their long snapper is injured and they've been struggling with punts all season. They've had a couple blocked punts in the Lexington game, struggled against Reading. So I think if they get within 10, they might go for it. But that's still a big ask to get those 13 yards.
That would be a 13-yard gain. And 2 huge plays to pick up the first down should they go for it.
The entire offense needs to work together and have their best possible play here.
And looking downfield, he's thrown! And that ball falls harmlessly to the ground. Could have been an absolute disaster for the Spy Ponders. And the punt team will head out. Down to Nick Antonakis on the field.
Well, guys, not exactly the drive that the Spy Ponders wanted to see. Faced with a 3rd and 23 there. After that stop, now we got a 4th and 23 coming up for the Spy Ponders. At a point where we thought they were going to be able to turn it around offensively, we see a little bit of a bloop there, and the Belmont Marauders will get the ball back with 3 minutes, 54 seconds to go in the half. Will the Spy Ponders be able to get a stop? There's still time that they can get the ball back, but it's going to be wait to see how the Spy Ponders can respond here. Obviously, a little bit of anger from the crowd, a little bit of anger here on the bench, as we can see, but regardless of that, the Spy Ponders looking to bounce back on the defensive side of the ball here. But, guys, back to you in the booth. Hopefully things turn around.
Thank you, Nick. A good punt there that took a bad hop for the Spy Ponders. The ball pitched at about the 50-yard line, but took an 8-yard hop towards in favor of Belmont. So the Marauders will take over at the plus 42, another short field for this Marauder offense.
Spy Ponders came away with a stop on the last drive. Can they do it again to keep the score as it is?
Arno takes the snap, looks left, cannot find a man. He's flushed from the pocket, fires downfield. He was looking for Jaden Rodriguez, trying to dump it off, but he sailed the throw.
Good job from the Belmont offensive line, holding off the pressure from the defensive line for the Spy Ponders, giving Arno a decent amount of time to throw, but there weren't many options downfield.
2nd and 10. It's a give up the middle, and tripped up at the line of scrimmage is Garung. Nice push there by the Spy Ponders defensive line.
Cherry getting in on the tackle to force the 3rd and 11.
So
3 minutes 15, 3rd down for Belmont.
So Belmont has not moved the ball yet on this drive. And a 3rd and 10. Definitely the territory where you would go for it. But just trying to set up 4th and manageable. A high snap. That's corralled, firing downfield. A long looping ball that is bobbled and caught. Brian Logan. Not sure who that ball was intended for, but it worked out. And a bomb by Jaden Arno makes it 20-7 Marauders with 2:35 remaining.
Manu Mahathirian was claiming offensive pass interference, but no. And that is the second touchdown of the game for Brian Logan.
And the kick is up and good.
Extra point is good by number 20.
And just when it looked like the Spy Ponder defense was going to get off the field, a massive play makes it 21-7. And now the Spy Ponders need to score before the half. Reminder that they do get the ball coming out of the second half. And they need that double up to try to make it a tie game. Big possession coming up in this game.
Two minutes 35 for the Spy Ponders to score. They did it against Stoneham at the end of the first half. And here's the replay of that touchdown. The deep ball to Logan is caught, and he walks it in to the end zone. Let's see how the Spy Ponders can respond. They did it against Stoneham before the half to stay. Was that to take the lead or to stay within 7 as well?
I believe that was to stay within 7.
Yes, it was. They did it against Stoneham to stay within 7, and then had a very good second half, winning that game. But let's see what the Spy Ponders can do.
So last we saw the Arlington Special Teams unit. They tried a reverse that got Mills out to the 50-yard line. This time they kick it to Kerbal, who bobbles it and trying to get around the corner, and once again met there. Jake Kerbal bottled up and forcing a long 80-yard drive, 85-yard drive coming up for the Spy Ponders to try to punch this in. 2:25 remaining in the quarter. 2 timeouts for the Spy Ponders as well.
If I'm the Spy Ponders and Frank Roach, I'm running my most explosive running play with Mills here early, calling that timeout, depending on how many yards he gets. Just get as many yards as you can.
So we will see the situational offense of the Spy Ponders as Mills makes a man miss around the corner and ducks out of bounds, picking up a gain of about 6.
Good call there from Roach. Gets Mills and he gets out of bounds, keeping the clock still at 2:18.
So situational offense, this is something that teams practice every single week. Miles, obviously under the new regime with Frank Roach, what do we know about how they try to run practice, and how different is it from when you were playing for Arlington?
That's a tough question. I think this current team has more of an understanding on their identity. And so they know that they have Mills and they use him as that workhorse back. First down for the Spy Ponders. Roshan Mendel getting another completion pass. I think he's 4 for 6 on the day with that interception and the touchdown.
That completion was across the middle to Peter Harrison. And the play fake give to Trapostis. He picks up the first down. Spy Ponders starting to move the ball.
Trapostis is very impressive to me. what he is doing for the Spy Ponders as a freshman. Coming into this game, coming into the season, he was not a starter on either side of the ball. He proved himself during special teams and is now starting on both offense and defense.
Pass to Kerbal was incomplete on the out, and that sets up a 2nd and 10 with a minute 25. And Miles Henry Tasmer.
Tasmir, yeah. He's on the bench, helmet off. I'm on the sideline with his helmet off. He's about to put it back on. He's hunched over in seemingly some pain.
As that gets sent out to Trapostis, who ducks out of bounds, pushed out of bounds by Scalfini.
Again, Alexi Trapostis getting the ball.
So a 3rd and short.
Minute 19 remaining here in this first half.
Spy Ponders have not used either of their timeouts yet.
Good job managing the clock on this drive.
Mandal finds Kerbal on the little hitch route, and a nice open field tackle there by Scalfini.
Spy Ponders will use their timeout. So minute 13.
So during this timeout, we will send it down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline.
Well, we saw a bit of an injury here on the sidelines, guys. Number 75, Henry Tasmer, he was down for a bit, came over to the sideline, checked in with the trainer. He's good to go back into the game. You hear it here first, and hopefully we'll see him back on the field soon as the Spy Ponders continue to drive down the field here. A minute 13 seconds to go in the first half. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Nick. And he just gave a thumbs up to somebody in the crowd. Looks like he is good to go. Maybe we'll sit out
For
until
this drive,
the second
until,
half. But 1:13 remaining for the Spy Ponders to try to punch it in, at least get some points.
In the meantime, Emil Bashwari will be playing that left guard. He was Gavin Carrero's replacement at center for these past 3 games. He played very well. He's a sophomore. And he's done well for the Spy Ponders in the role he had to play.
He's matched up against Big 77 Harrison Carlson as a long looping ball is incomplete for Jake Kerbal. That ball hung in the air for a long time.
So now it's a 2nd and 10 for the Spy Ponders.
So still north of a minute to go, 1:07, 1 timeout remaining for the Spy Ponders. Mandal takes a snap, looks left, but a whistle
Penalty marker on the play.
and a false start maybe.
Offside on Belmont.
Offsides is the call, so a free 5 yards for the Spy Ponders. That brings up 2nd and 5. The type of thing you can't have happen when you're in 2-minute defense.
Need to stay disciplined.
Don't want to prevent. You have to prevent those free yards, especially when the clock is not running.
Mills will be playing out wide on this play.
So Mandel in the shotgun, Cherry off of his right hip. He gives it up the middle to Cherry, who chugs along and gets a short gain. Have to think the Spy Ponders are going to use their timeout here. Interesting play call on 2nd and medium.
The run from Cherry isn't what they were expecting. To get stopped for around 1 yard of gain with a minute left.
So now no timeouts for the Spy Ponders. This is where you need to practice your no huddle, be ready to spike the ball, and have good communication between the sideline and the quarterback, Mandel, to communicate the play in and get ready for getting ready up to the line.
Henry Tasmir is back in the game. Put his helmet on, took out Emil Bashwadi. That'll give Mandel a little bit more time on protection.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about our Road to Reading promo that is coming at halftime. Our crew covered the away game, Arlington against Reading, and we had the cameras rolling the entire time, so be sure to stay tuned to watch that. .59 seconds remaining. Ball at the 39-yard line. Mandel empty. And it's a give on a jet sweep to Caden Mills that went nowhere, and now needing to hurry.
And get the first down here because it is fourth down.
Fourth down, so a quick snap that needs to be beyond the sticks. And a timeout. Belmont may have bailed Arlington out there.
Yeah.
Timeout by the Marauders, possibly trying to save time for themselves on fourth down.
A jet sweep is a very interesting play call.
Especially with no timeouts.
Yeah. Especially to the open side of the field where Mills has to get even more distance to get out of bounds.
So a questionable play call there by head coach Frank Roach, trying to keep this game within arm's reach.
In no way are the Spy Ponders out of this game, but it would help a lot to get this touchdown.
Help a lot to get this first down, and
Yeah.
nevertheless, the touchdown.
And that'll mark the end of the timeout.
So Arlington will come out. Mandel empty once again, 3 to his left, 2 to his right. He looks left, finds Harrison, and he dropped that ball. A rare sight to see, a ball straight through Peter Harrison's hands. And now an opportunity for Belmont to possibly put some points on the board. 37 seconds remaining.
That is my bad on the stat jinx. In Reading, I said Peter Harrison never drops a ball. Since then, he has dropped 3 out of the last 4 passes to him. And now not Reading. Now Belmont will have the ball. They will take a knee to end the half.
So that will do it for the first half between the Arlington Spy Ponders 7 and the Belmont Marauders 21, a 14-point differential. And Arlington with an opportunity to put some points on the board, trying to punch it in. Miles, your thoughts on the first half?
Overall, it's a good half from both teams. Belmont did their job. They ran the clock down. They had some good drives. slowly draining the clock, but still having that forward progress. Eventually, the Spy Ponders did seem to figure out the Belmont offense, and they got some stops late in that second quarter. But the offense is where the Spy Ponders need to improve. They need to show what they've shown in previous games against Brookline, even against Reading, getting those touchdowns late in the second half. Let's see. We'll have to wait for the next half to see what the Spy Ponders can do. It's been a good half for Gurung. He had a good half. So did Brian Logan, the receiver, 2 touchdowns. Belmont will have to rely on Gurung a lot here in the second half to try and waste some clock down versus the Spy Ponders, who will be passing the ball more than they have done in the past, having to come back from a lead and not use as much clock as they can. So the Spy Ponders will be passing the ball more often than not.
Okay, and I believe we are getting ready to send it down to Nick Antonakis on the field, and be sure to stay tuned for this Road to Reading little movie that our very own guy Nick Antonakis made, who we are about to be sending it to. And so the key here for the Spy Ponders, they need to get that offense going. It has been very one-sided thus far. Obviously, the big 3-play drive set up by the short field by Caden Mills, and then the bomb down to Kerbal, but not a lot going for the Spy Ponder offense, as we are just about ready to send it down to Nick Antonakis on the field. Miles, any parting thoughts?
We're about to send it to Nick, so no.
Down to Nick.
Well, obviously a disappointing half for some aspects of the Spy Ponders game. They're currently trailing by a score of 21-7, but still some upsides for the Spy Ponders. We saw some flashes of greatness from that offense in that second quarter. Things came to a stutter as time went on, but the Spy Ponders still got another half of football to play. Belmont, on the other hand, has been dominating when they're on the offensive side of the ball. We saw Arlington start to keep up with them a little bit as the time went on, but as we closed out that first half, Belmont was really ramping all over the Spy Ponders. They have the momentum right now. The Spy Ponders look to turn things around as they start with the ball at second half and get a score of their own. Now, only down 2 scores, there's still time for the Spy Ponders. But let's take a look back to last week. As our commentators have been talking about all day, our entire crew at ACMi Sports had the privilege of traveling to Reading High to cover the Spy Ponders road game last week. For that, we take you around the road to Reading. Let's take a look at it. Reading Memorial High School has been a dominant force in the high school football scene for as long as many Arlington Spy Ponders can remember. The Rockets have made headline after headline after headline. Many of the Rockets' headlines have featured dominant victories over Arlington High. And while Arlington has had highs of their own, it always seems like Reading has their number. Despite the past, the feeling in Arlington was different this year.
I would say Reading because all my years of being in Arlington, I've always seen Arlington get wiped by Reading. And I feel like this year, it feels like a good year for us to beat Reading.
With all the anticipation leading up to this matchup on the road, ACMi Sports decided to take a risk we've never taken before. Take our entire production crew on the road to Reading Memorial High School to capture the game. While Reading's football atmosphere was something our crew had never experienced before, they were up for the challenge. We brought all of our sports production equipment that make ACMi Sports Production special and set out for Reading. ACMi youth coordinator Jasper Hamilton and I arrived early to the home of the Rockets with cars full of ACMi equipment. After 7 hours of setup, our crew was ready to do something ACMi Sports had never done before. ACMi Sports pulled out all of the stops, pulling off a production with a variety of graphics, camera angles, replays, and segments. While it took me running back and forth from the press box to the field to pull off sideline reports, it was just a fraction compared to all of the hard work our crew put in. But they're going to need some wins here towards the end of the season, and ACMi Sports will be there to cover it. Obviously, a huge thank you to everybody at ACMi Sports for making this production happen, traveling out here to Reading and covering this game on the road. We'll be back in Arlington next week for the Spy Ponders matinee matchup on Saturday as we cover back in our regular stadium. But from ACMi Sports, I'm Nick Antonakis.
Without a change in the way that we are funded, this industry will not exist. It's not taxpayer money, it's cable subscriber money. The cable providers are mandated to give up to 5% of the money that they make in the town. As the number of cable subscriptions go down, so does the percentage that goes to a place to fund like ACMi. So many people in community media were able to step up during that pandemic and really keep local governments moving. So the demand really went up while the funding's going down. If you're asking cities and towns to put together not only the equipment, but the manpower to run that equipment, there's the real bottom line cost associated with that.
What's a first and 10?
Picks up the first down. He's got more.
Icing?
But it goes all the way back the other way. It's going to be an icing on the Spy Ponders.
Maybe sports isn't your thing. Or it is, but you've got more of an affinity for sports production. ACMi Sports is a student-run program that allows you to deliver the action your way. Directing, camera ops, reporting, engineering, and much more. Email sports@acmi.tv to learn more about how you can get involved.
The history of ACMi in 100 seconds. First, we have to go back to the 80s. In 1980, the town of Arlington licensed its first cable television franchise with American Cable Systems, and for the first time there was a facility for public communication within the town. For the next 2 decades, hundreds of citizens used the facility to produce programming for Arlington cable subscribers in the 3 categories known as PEG, P-E-G, Public, Educational, and Government. Under that original license, Arlington Cable Access, or ACA, was created to help the public learn about and make use of the studio until 2006. Let's back up a little bit here, because in April 2003, ACMi was formed as a not-for-profit corporation by a group of Arlington citizens with the goal of improving communication in their town. Over time, a board of directors was chosen and the organization was designated Arlington's official access corporation. In July 2006, ACMi signed its first agreement with the town of Arlington to assume management of Arlington Studio and PEG Community Access Television for the town, which marked the transition from ACA to ACMi. Today, ACMi operates multiple production facilities across the town and promotes the access to learn and engage in community media activities as a part of the action of ACMi News or Public Affairs, or learn how to produce independent films and documentaries. In addition to coordinating the live coverage of local meetings, special events, and sports, ACMi offers production training, studio facilities, and resources. And that was the history of ACMi in 100 seconds. Well, almost.
This is Senator Ed Markey.
On many levels of government.
The quality artists playing it.
No, in recent weeks we've been in touch with
here and be able to speak with our fire chief, Kevin Kelly. So first of all, I want to welcome you very much.
Thank you and welcome here.
And thank you for welcoming us here. It's been several years since we were last here, and the place still looks sparkling clean and impressive.
What's next?
I think they were banked up top.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous, and it's in! Unbelievable! Team Kanyan out of nothing! Unbelievable!
ACMi News always has you covered. Giving you up-to-the-minute stories that count. ACMi News, where the best stories are yours.
You are looking live at Mary Pierce Field, where the Belmont Marauders lead the Arlington Spy Ponders by a score of 21-7. My name is Brendan Locke, alongside Miles Donato. Miles, a bit of a disappointing half, especially for that Arlington offense. Not a lot of movement. They were able to punch one in, and they do start the second half with the ball. How crucial is this upcoming drive?
This is, I obviously don't know what the rest of the game is, but this is the most important drive so far of this game, and it might be one of the more important drives. If they don't manage to convert, going down and forcing your defense to stop Belmont so that you don't go down 3 possessions is tough. So if they can get this touchdown, they go down 7, and you trust your defense to get the stop, and then this game becomes a lot closer than it currently is.
Just bring you up to speed in case you missed the first half. Our Belmont scored on their first drive. They went down in about 7 minutes and scored Brian Logan on a pass from Jaden Arno, and then they turned Arlington over and punched Arno, ran one in himself, and Arlington matched that score with a Jacob Kerbel touchdown of about 40 yards, and Belmont went down and tacked on one more on a deep ball, once again to Brian Logan. That brought us to where we are now. We are just about set for the second half to go underway. And Austin Lasseter is set back to kick. Some young fans there as the kick rolls into the end zone for a touchback.
Smart play from Jacob Kerbel, letting that ball roll down into the end zone. And now the offense for the Spy Ponders, led by Roshan Mandel.
Miles, what worked in the first half for Arlington, and more importantly, what didn't work?
What worked was those short passes, finding the gaps in the coverage, getting those 6-yard slants and curls to receivers like Alexi Trapostis and Peter Harrison. And then that opened up the deep ball to Kerbel. The jet sweeps, which you might see, the jet sweeps did not work. They lost 13 yards on those 2 jet sweeps late in the second half. As this run play is stopped by the Belmont Marauders, who have a good front group of defensive linemen that are kind of shutting down Caden Mills. In games where Caden Mills runs for over 100 yards, the Spy Ponders have won those games. When he doesn't, they lose. So
they have kept Caden Mills in a bottle thus far. As there's trouble with the snap.
I think Roshan
Mandel fell back onto it, but the Spy Ponders quickly in 3rd and long.
It's not where you want to be at all. So now they're forced to pass. And then if they don't get it, punt and give the Marauders good field position. It's the exact opposite of what was needed from the Spy Ponders offense.
So Mandel in the shotgun. Post is sent across the line, excuse me. And it's a quick screen pass to Kerbal, trying to create some space and some tough running, and it looks like he picked up the first down.
Nice job by Kerbal staying with the run as Trapostis motioned across. I think he lined up incorrectly. And then the screen play to Kerbal, who runs up the middle, gets the yardage he needs for the first down, and the Spy Ponders are with a new set of downs.
So Arlington looking to create something after the first down of the second half. And it's a give to Mills up the middle, who was once again met there by Harrison Carlson. Big 77 in the middle has done a really nice job clogging things up.
That middle
stopping the run
is not very open for Mills to run through. It does hurt that the injuries on the offensive line for the Spy Ponders, they are starting a middle linebacker as their right guard right now. And so it's tough to run it down the middle through him.
And it's a give up the middle to Kerbal, who is able to pick up a couple of yards, and a late flag has come in. And Kerbal looked like he was down for a second, but seems okay.
This is a play that the Spy Ponders have done a lot this season. It's implemented very early into this new coaching staff, implemented this play. And it was a personal foul against Belmont. And so this will
set up a second and short. Second and about 1. Mandel quickly fires out to Harrison, trying to make a man miss. He does, and it looks like he picked up the first down.
Another flag on the play. Harrison making his man miss, getting the first down. So the refs discussing go against the Belmont Marauders.
Another personal foul.
15 yards on this one.
So penalties killing the Belmont Marauders on this first drive, keeping Arlington in it. They had them stuck behind the chains, and now Arlington finds themselves on the plus 44. Give to Mills up the middle, trying to find some space. Picks up about 8 yards. First kind of big opening that Caden Mills has had thus far.
Hurry up offense for the Spy Ponders, going right to it with another play.
Kerbal across the middle, and he dropped that. And is that another flag?
I think that's the mouth
No,
guard.
it was a spot. It was a spot foul, spot flag. Excuse me.
The throw to Kerbal is disrupted by Wyatt Sclafani. Gets a hand in there, and Kerbal is not able to make what would have been an easy catch on that slant.
So another third down for the Spy Ponders. And we will see if this Belmont defense can bow up. Play fake to Mills, a little pop to Ori Forrest, who picks up the first down. They snuck him out of the formation. Mandel just flipped it over.
Beautiful little screenplay to Ori Forrest. He gets his first reception of the season.
So similar to the first drive that we saw for Belmont, a clock-chewing drive. Just over 4 minutes of ball control for the Spy Ponders. This is a give to Mills, and he's off to the races. Will they catch him? No! He finally broke free. Caden Mills punches it in, and a long, methodical drive pays off with 6 for the Spy Ponders.
Too much space to give Mills. If you give him that much space, he will take off. And that is a touchdown for Caden Mills, his 15th of the season.
So exactly what the Spy Ponders were looking for. Kick is up and good. And it is a one-possession game. 21-14, Belmont leads.
Belmont 21, Arlington 14.
Now all the pressure is on this Spy Ponders defense. Can they come away with the stop? It is 21 Belmont, 14 Spy Ponders.
Miles, what did you see on that drive?
I saw a good balance of plays that we haven't seen before this season, called up by Frank Roach. Good play calling to set up the touchdown as well. That hurry up offense, I really like that use of speed. Here comes Lasseter, but cannot break away from Alexi Trapostis.
Austin Lasseter, who has been all over on offense, defense, and special teams.
You turn
tried to get around the corner and was just shy of the 30-yard line.
Broke a couple tackles, but Alexi Trapostis managed to make the tackle. And now Arno and his offense are back on the field for the first time this half.
So Belmont's first drive of the second half. Arno barking out signals to his wide receivers. And Garung carries that for about 4 yards.
Kerbal blitzing on the outside, managed to get a hand on it, and Beckenhuse was there to help out.
Belmont will be very content with just letting that clock continue to tick down, keeping the ball away from Arlington.
As long as they can get first downs, they'll be happy.
As another carry by Garung.
He's met by Ori Forrest, but he manages to push through and grab another 2-3 yards after contact.
Garung really has been the catalyst for this Belmont offense, Miles.
Yes, for sure.
Belmont has found themselves in third and manageable throughout the game, not forcing the ball downfield as Spy Ponders show pressure, and Arno checks to the sideline. Spy Ponders continue to show pressure, and they bring it. It's a controlled rollout, and he is met there by Dylan McGahan.
The sophomore middle linebacker, McGahan, makes his first involvement in this game, and it is a big one, forcing Belmont to punt, getting that big tackle for loss on the blitz. Arlington sent everyone, and Dylan McGahan was the one who made contact.
So a Belmont punt, and Arlington will have the ball with a chance to tie the game. Scalfani back to punt. He gets it off, an end-over-end punt for Harrison, and he makes a man miss. Peter Harrison with a little bit of room. Out across the 50, met there by a host of white jerseys.
Good return from Peter Harrison for around 15 yards. He managed to get around the first tackle, and then a little bit of jockeying, waiting, seeing where to go, but then he's met by a fair few of white jerseys.
So 4:28 remaining in the third quarter. 21-14. Marauders lead by 7. Mandel rolls out to his left, fires downfield, and that is caught by Trapostis, pushed out of bounds, just shy of the 20-yard line, and the Ponders are in business.
Beautiful play call from Frank Roach. Beautiful movement after the catch from Nico Trapostis, getting that extra 10 yards after the catch. And the Spy Ponders are on the 25-yard line.
So one play, and the Ponders are on the plus side of the field. This is a toss to Mills. And breaking tackles down to the corner, and he's pushed out of bounds at about the 2-yard line. And just like that,
Mills breaking free from the tackles, is pushed out of bounds just before the touchdown on the 2nd-yard line. But two very well done plays from the Spy Ponders to try and get this team tied up. Will they get it here?
Ponders line up in I formation. It's a give to Mills, and a fantastic tackle again by Carlson. He's been great all
He's been
game.
amazing. Senior for the Belmont Marauders, plays both offensive line and defensive line.
So Coach Frank Roach gives the play to Mandel.
They need 4 yards here now with a loss of 2 on the last play. Mundell will go under center.
And he didn't like something that he saw, because he quickly called timeout. And Miles, an important moment in this game here.
I feel like the Spy Ponders have struggled a little bit trying to get those short yardage.
As we're going to send it down to Nick Antonakis on the field.
Now, the Spy Ponders guys have definitely turned it around here in this second half. 14-21 is our score now. Spy Ponders obviously look like they're coming back. They're set up inside the red zone, inside the 5-yard line at that, and they look to cash in here to tie up this game. We've seen dynamic plays from the Spy Ponders on offense, and the defense is also stepping up to the plate. Both sides of the ball are succeeding here, and the Spy Ponders look to get back into this one and tie things up at 21. Now in the timeout, it seems like here on the sidelines, Spy Ponders discussing on a pivotal 2nd and 3 coming up for the Ponders. They need to cash in here to score here with 3:26 left in the third quarter. They don't have all day, so the faster they can tie this thing up, the better it'll be for the Spy Ponders. But as the Marauders and Spy Ponders are prepping to take the field, I'll send it back to you guys in the booth.
All right, thank you, Nick. .325 remaining in the quarter. And the Ponders will go Wildcat.
And empty.
Mills all by his lonesome in the shotgun. And they drew him off sides. So the Ponders will get the ball at the 2-yard line.
Halfway to the goal.
Offsides on Belmont.
Will the Spy Ponders change their formation, or will they keep Mills in that Wildcat formation? Mills is getting the play call from head coach Frank Roach, so I think we will stay in Wildcat.
And you are exactly right. Once again in the empty Wildcat, plunges forward, waiting for a call, and he's in! Bowling his way in for his 2nd touchdown of the game, Caden Mills. And we are an extra point away from this game being knotted up at 21. The Ponders have come roaring back in the second half.
Mills and the Spy Ponders said, "We are stronger than you are. We will shove it in for this 1 yard." And they do. And they will tie up the game, assuming that this kick goes in.
And the kick is no good. The kick was blocked. So it remains a 1-point game. Marauders lead 21-20.
Mills with his 2nd touchdown of the game to put him at a total of 16 in 5 games. It's very impressive from the senior for the Spy Ponders.
Caden Mills getting his ankle taped, it looks like.
That's what the injury he's been dealing with in this past couple of days.
We have our man Nick Antonakis down on the ground doing some investigative journalism, and we are going to send it down to him right now.
Now, guys, we saw that the Spy Ponders, their superstar running back, Caden Mills, we saw him head over to the cart, getting checked out by the athletic trainer. He was getting his ankle wrapped, but I talked to him. He said he's going back into the game. He says he feels fine. Spy Ponders storming back here in this one. They obviously look to keep things positive. After missing that extra point, they still trail by 1, but the Spy Ponders look to get back into it. And what better way to do it with their star player back in the game? So with that, I'll throw it back to you guys at the booth.
Ori Forrest and Ryan Skull, two special teams leaders on the special teams. Ori Forrest, I think, has made the tackle on every single kickoff, -1 in this game. He has that anger, and he just runs up the field and he makes those tackles. Ryan Skull, the freshman, he's made his fair share of important plays on special teams. The game against Stoneham, he recovered that onside kick.
So after a quick 3-and-out on their first drive, the Marauders looking to get some offense going in the second half. Was setter sent in motion. And it's a long screen pass for Logan, who makes it out across the 50, eventually pushed out of bounds. And that is exactly what this Marauder offense needed to get going.
They need something to change the momentum a little bit here in the second half. It's been pretty much all Spy Ponders.
So ball across the 50-yard line in plus territory for the Marauders. Looking for an answer, Arlington, with 2 scores in this second half. It's a give to Garung, who's trying to get around the corner. Multiple flags fly. Possibly holding, looked like in the area of holding.
I think it is holding. Either way, it's a tackle for loss. Holding.
And the call is holding, so that will be brought back.
I think it might be 2 separate holding calls. Because that's 10 yards.
No, holding's always 10.
Holding's 10? I thought it was 5.
No, holding's 10.
False starts 5?
Correct. Arno takes the snap. Free rusher. He dumps it off to Garung, who gets a block and runs over Caden Mills with a huge reaction from the Belmont sideline. Exactly what Belmont needed. Setting up second and manageable.
Coaches of Belmont talking to Caden Mills after that. If you're a defensive lineman or a linebacker in that situation and you're realizing, oh wait, I'm in very easily, you need to recognize, could be a screen, turn around, see where the bodies are.
Ori Forrest was the free rusher, but unable to get to Arno. He was able to dump it off and pick up big yardage. Arno on the give. Lasseter is met for a minimal gain.
Again, Ori Forrest making the play.
We've not heard a lot from Brian Logan, the senior captain, with 2 touchdowns this game. As Belmont finds themselves in yet again another 3rd and manageable. Arno in the gun, Lasseter sent in motion. It's a fake to him, and Kerbal meets Garung in the backfield. An open field tackle. That was Darian Cherry coming in on the cleanup crew. And that will end the 3rd quarter. It's a 1-point game here in Arlington. Be sure to stay tuned for the 4th quarter.
Tickets so we can announce the winner. The winning number is 1428872. If that is your ticket, please come claim your prize at the announce booth.
Before we start the 4th quarter, we are going to send it down to Nick Antonakis on the field.
Claim claim your prize.
Spy Ponders trailing by 1 here at the end of the third quarter, guys. It's been an extremely entertaining game thus far. Energy has ramped up in the crowd ever since the Spy Ponders came out here for second half action, as they performed much better than they did in the first half. Now, there's still some room for improvement. As I said, they trail by 1 because of a special teams flop. Can they bounce back from that? Of course, they have plenty of time. 12 minutes to play as soon as the fourth quarter starts. Now, Spy Ponders, obviously, they're going to look to get back into it here. They'll get the ball back, and they try to propel themselves forward. With that, we'll send it back up to the booth. Guys, take it away. A lot of entertaining.
Thank you, Nick, as Scalafini had trouble with the punt. And the Spy Ponders will take over on the plus 35.
A low snap.
A huge moment in this game. And the Spy Ponders are left with a short field.
Great field position for the Spy Ponders. Low snap. And Scalafini couldn't control it, and it goes back 5 yards. And now Spy Ponders with a chance to take the lead for the first time in this game.
It's a give to Mills up the middle, and those 2-yard gains are starting to turn into 6-yard gains, Miles, for Caden Mills.
Especially as Belmont starts to wear down as this game goes on. Mills will have more openings to just take off. It's what happened against Reading, where he was getting stuffed for the entire first 3 quarters and then scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to make the game less of a blowout.
Spy Ponders have found success in the I formation. This time it's a lob downfield to Kerbal, and he's got it! Touchdown, Spy Ponders! A lightning strike from the Spy Ponders. They take the lead for the first time in the game.
Beautiful throw from Roshan Mandel, finding Kerbal for the second touchdown between the two of them. The only problem is Roshan Mandel is down after getting hit after the throw. Hopefully it is just a cramp, but he is laying down on the field, being tended to by the trainer. He is up now, and he is jogging off the sideline with a little bit of a limp. Gets cheers from the crowd. I think it may just be a cramp. Hopefully it is. But he is bending over, holding his leg after that beautiful touchdown throw.
We'll try to get some information on that as soon as possible. And the Spy Ponders are going to go for 2 to try to punch this in and make it a 7-point game. Obviously, no Mandel. So they will go with the Wildcat. And it's a give to Kerbal, running over a defender and in. 28-21. A 2-play drive, all done by Jake Kerbal. He gets the touchdown and the 2. Second touchdown of the game for Jake Kerbal. Now all of the pressure on this Belmont team.
They have not been able to, Belmont's offense has not been able to find what they did earlier in the game, since around like halfway through, or since the halfway through the second quarter, they haven't really done anything on offense. A couple 3-and-outs. Penalties have been very damaging to gains. They've had multiple penalties that they shouldn't need to have.
So, Peter Harrison back to kick. And he sends it down where Chalvet has trouble with it, but trying to get around the corner, out across, and a huge hit.
Ryan Skull, the freshman, and that.
And there's a little extracurricular activity down on the Arlington sideline. Coach is trying to separate. Will Hendrickson right in the middle of it. Quickly down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline. He has an update on Roshan Mandel.
Well, guys, we saw Roshan Mandel go down for the Arlington Spy Ponders after that last offensive possession. A hell of a throw by Roshan, but we saw him go down after the play after he got the ball out of his hands. Now, I talked to him on the sideline. He was checking in with the trainer, getting his left leg stretched out. He said to me it was just a cramp, so it's looking like he's going to head back into the game when the time comes. But obviously a little bit scary to see if you're an Arlington fan as your quarterback goes down. That's nothing you want to see, but it seems like Roshan is fine. The trainer checked up with him. He was stretching out on the sideline here and set on his next offensive possession. He's set to go back into the game. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Nick. And he's still there stretching out that left leg as the refs spoke for a minute about
Offsetting personal fouls.
So
nothing to come from the shoving.
Nope. Interesting to see if that fires up either side, if that leads to a mistake on either side. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad when pushing and shoving like that happens. Jaden Rodriguez, first we've seen of him. He's sent across the line, and the snap. And he is wrapped up. First sack of the game.
Brady Beckenhughes, 6'5", 290. He's hard to stop. The sophomore gets his first sack of his career here for the Spy Ponders.
So.
My fault, he had one in the last game. Or against, yeah.
2nd and 15 for the Marauders.
He had one against Lexington. So second sack of the season for Brady Beckenhughes.
It's a quick throw out to Logan, who is able to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Sean Boyce diving at the legs of Logan to stop him from gaining more than a couple yards. 3rd down and 10 for the Marauders, who haven't gotten a first down in this half.
We just dipped under the 10-minute mark in the 4th quarter. Crunch time for this Belmont offense. Arno takes the snap. He looks. He's flushed from the pocket. Rolling out left. Looking for an option. Heaves it downfield. It's intercepted by Mills. Caden Mills steps up. Makes a huge play. Arno trying to extend the play. And the Spy Ponders will take over at the 45-yard line.
Arno dodges the sack from Kerbal, but he throws it deep, and Mills is there to get the interception. He got one in the last game, and he took it for 6. He gets one here against Belmont to give the Spy Ponies a chance to go up by 14. Roshan Mandel is back in the game, and he's getting the play call from Frank Roach. All the momentum is for the Spy Ponders here, who are looking for their first win in league matchups.
Belmont reeling. They still have not picked up a first down in the second half. It's a give to Cherry, who picks up about 2 yards. 9 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter.
Not much on that for the Spy Ponders as Cherry is met by a number of Belmont players. Expect the Spy Ponders to, now that they're up, run the ball to try and run that clock down. Expect Mills to get a couple more carries here late in this game.
Second and 8. To play fake to Mills. Play across the middle. Almost intercepted. Austin Lasseter nearly jumped that slant route.
Roshan Mandel saw his read, but he tried to force it into a gap that might not have been there. Lucky it goes incomplete. It's now 3rd and 8 for the Spy Ponders.
Belmont bench trying to make a little bit of noise. 8:23 remaining in the game.
Under center is Roshan Mandel.
He takes the snap. It's a pitch to Mills, and he is wrapped up in the backfield, met there by Ryan Halloran, the senior captain. Steps up and makes a huge play for the Marauders.
Good tackle by Halloran, and he gets Mills right in that injured ankle. But Mills seems to be okay. Beautiful job by Halloran to get there cleanly. As Mills comes off, I think he is okay. Quincy Crawford now to punt the ball away. Nice high punt.
And a fair catch there by Lasseter. So the interception leads to a 3 and out for the Spy Ponders, but 2 minutes gone from when Belmont last had the ball.
Belmont needs to figure out this puzzle that is the Spy Ponders defense if they want a chance to come back into this game. They've not gotten a first down in this half, and this half only has 7 minutes remaining in it. They'll line up with a wing back, which they haven't done.
It's a give up the middle to Garung, and he is off to the races, just wrestled down by Mills shy of the 50-yard line. Caden Mills with a touchdown saving tackle.
Garung, he got that space, and the only one on that field that could catch him was Mills. That is what the Belmont Marauders need, is those plays from Garung.
That was their first down.
First down of the half.
Of the half. $7:23 remaining in the game. We'll see. There was a flag on the play, possibly offsetting again. It was picked up. Penalty marker was picked up. So a fresh set of downs for the Marauders. It's another give to Garung. He is met there by Darian Cherry. Clock dips under 6:30 in the game. It's a keeper all the way for Arno, and that goes nowhere.
Now on your screens, number 71, Gabe Woolen, the injured right tackle, who's out with an injury on his thumb. You see his cast. I was told his expected return in the next 2 weeks. So now another third down for Belmont.
Miles, we were talking all game about how Belmont kept themselves in third and manageable, lots of 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s. All of a sudden, when the game matters most, they find themselves in a 3rd and 8.
Yeah, those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s turned into 3rd and 8s and 10s very quickly.
Arno with a pump fake and a 2-yard gain there on the catch. Lasseter could not go anywhere, and
the only option for Arno was that pass to Lasseter, but there were 2 Arlington defenders there waiting. And so now 4th down, very important conversion for Belmont. See if they can get this 4th down, see if the Spy Pounders can get this stop.
Fourth and 6. Jaden Arno in the shotgun. Adrian Garung off his right hip. Steps back, delivers a ball to the right, and it's incomplete. That was intended for Lasseter. Manu Mahithrian on the pass breakup. Spy Ponders will take over.
That ball a little bit short of the first down anyways. So even if he had made that catch diving to the ground, I think it would have been short. And now the Spy Ponders had the ball out around midfield to try and take a 2-touchdown lead.
Reminder that Belmont does have all 3 timeouts.
Yep. There is still time on the clock if they can get a stop here.
Interesting to see if this is the set of downs they choose to use the timeouts on. Will most likely be dependent on this first play. And you have to think 8 in maroon, Caden Mills, will be getting most of the workload. Here he is, getting a gain of about 3. So will Belmont use their timeout?
Does not seem like it.
They will not. So they are banking on their defense making a stop by themselves. If Arlington runs two run plays and does not pick up the first down, Belmont will get the ball back with about 2.5 minutes left without using any timeouts. And it's Mills again, picking up the first down. Still on his feet, getting a push across the 40-yard line.
Mills breaking some tackles and breaking for more yards. Now he gets up, and that's a first down for the Spy Ponders.
Have to think Belmont will use their timeouts this upcoming set of downs, Miles.
Yeah. So then you're really pushing it with time.
Mills a little hobbled getting back into that huddle.
If you're Frank Roach, would you consider passing the ball here? Or is it too risky?
No, I would run it. I would run it all day. And Arlington forced to use a timeout. Took too much time on the play clock. So
the entire world thinks you're running the ball. Maybe you pass it.
With 2:58 remaining, you have 1 timeout remaining for the Spy Ponders, 3 timeouts remaining for Belmont. You have the best running back in the league, and you're up by 8. Or you're up by 7, excuse me.
Use it.
Just run the ball. just run the ball. At least force him to use a timeout. You don't want to give him any free clock stoppages.
We'll send you down to Nick Antonakis.
To Nick Antonakis.
And guys, the Spy Ponders obviously here faced with a pivotal defensive possession. They are going to look to continue to drive down the field and continue to drive on Belmont's defense now. 2 minutes, 58 seconds left in the fourth and final quarter in this one. As we can see, Rashawn Mendel and the rest of the offensive crew coming out of this timeout with anything in mind. They got to keep this one key pivotal. Hold on to the ball. They cannot afford a turnover of any sorts right now. You're low in time left in the game. If they turn this ball over, you're gifting Belmont a chance to get back into it. So the number one word on the sideline right now is ball security. As the offense gets ready to take back on the field, we'll throw it back to you guys up in the booth.
Thank you, Nick. And Caden Mills is off to the races. It's a foot race, putting the game on ice. Caden Mills, touchdown, Spy Ponders.
Mills with his third touchdown of the game. And that's what happens. Like, I'll say it every time he scores. If you give him space, he will score. You cannot give him space. He will break the tackle on those one-on-ones. And that is the offense for the Spy Ponders, is get Mills in a one-on-one and score. And so the Spy Ponders come back from down 2 touchdowns and score 3 unanswered touchdowns. 4 unanswered touchdowns.
4. Yeah, you're right. 28 as the kick is up and good. And the Belmont Marauders find themselves down 14 after being up 21-7 at half. It is now 35-21 Spy Ponders. And the Marauders need to do a lot in a hurry to pull themselves back into this one.
Spy Ponders matching their average points scored, which is 32, with this 35.
Harrison's kick is off and caught by Scalfini.
Again, Ryan Skoll and Ori Forrest on the tackle on the kickoff.
So, with 2:41 remaining, Belmont now finds themselves needing 2 scores in just under 3 minutes to tie this ball game up. Reminder that they do have all 3 timeouts remaining, and they need to go about 70 yards on this drive to set up an attempt at an onside kick. It will not be 70 yards because they just got called for holding, so they will need an 80-yard drive.
And then an onside kick, return, and another 60 yards.
Correct. So we will see if they are able to keep Adrian Garung involved in the offense. A lot is thrown on Jaden Arno's shoulders at this point, and they give it to Garung, and a beautiful open field tackle there by Mills.
This battle between Mills and Garung all day has been very interesting to watch. Mills, a couple tackles on Garung. Garung, 1 or 2 tackles on Mills. But Mills has made the difference on offense, scoring 3 touchdowns.
pass is caught there by Holloway. Out across the 40-yard line, eventually brought down from behind by Mills.
Mills tried to pull the ball out from behind.
1:47 remaining. Belmont picks up a first down. 3 timeouts as well in their back pocket.
They'll go hurry up, snap the ball as quick as they can, try and get it out of bounds, or use their timeout.
Throw across the middle is caught there by Lasseter. He's been a key cog in this Belmont offense.
And there will be the first of the 3 timeouts for Belmont.
So the Belmont timeout.
Arno has found his man all 3 of these passes so far.
What do you think Coach Frank Roach is relaying to his team right now, trying to keep them calm and organized?
Stay disciplined. Don't take any stupid penalties, especially late. Don't give Belmont an opportunity in this game. Make the big play here. Make the sack. Get the turnover. If you can do that, then this game's over without having to go through anything.
Arno in the gun. He takes the snap, looking downfield, rolling to his left. He will keep it, trying to duck out of bounds, and he eventually does. That took about 7 seconds off the clock. So 1:23 remaining in the game. Reminder that Belmont needs 2 scores. 2 timeouts remaining as well.
Watch a deep ball to Brian Logan. They're going to have to take the shot eventually.
You have to start moving the ball downfield eventually.
Maybe you go down to Donovan Holloway, who's matched up with Alexi Trapostis, the freshman.
He looks left, firing downfield. He's got a man, and it's intercepted. Manu Mahithrian picks it off. He elevates and gets the ball, and that will do it. The Spy Ponders will win by a score of 35-21. Manu Mahithrian calls game.
He had 3 interceptions last season, and he gets his first of the season for the Spy Ponders, putting this game on ice.
The Spy Ponders will get a win. On their yearly matinee game. They come roaring back in the 4th quarter.
Four touchdowns in the second half to win this game.
And it will most likely just be a couple of victory formations. They do give the ball off to Mills. Belmont is going to elect to use their timeout, so forcing Arlington to run the ball. And Belmont, a disappointing loss for Belmont, Miles, but an incredible win for Arlington.
Yeah, for sure. To get that victory in the league is very important. We went winless in the league last season, and it matters on like an individual level for league all-stars as well, things like that, where a team with no wins will get 1 nomination as a league all-star versus a team with 1 win, which will get 3. So it gives more recognition to the players on this team. And so this victory is important on that aspect. And also in the standing, making playoffs. The Spy Ponders currently sit in a playoff spot in Division II at 15th. There's 16 teams that make the playoffs. They're sitting 15th. Belmont are sitting 12th. This is a very important win for the Spy Ponders for their chance to make playoffs for the first time in many years. A win against this team, and then they go to play Winchester next week. We will be covering that game here on ACMi.
Be sure to tune in next week, Friday Night Lights against Winchester. This is a toss to Mills, who hurdles a man, goes up and over, and that is the exclamation point. Caden Mills doing it all himself this game.
There is a flag on the play, but a beautiful hurdle from Caden Mills, who jogs off to the sideline. I don't think we'll see much from him in the remaining minute of this game. Just let him rest. Don't injure yourself. There is a flag on the play, so is hurdling? I'm pretty sure hurdling might be a flag.
No, hurdling's not a penalty.
In high school, I think it is, in MIAA.
We're getting word that apparently hurdling is a penalty?
Yeah. There is a stipulation, though.
That might be the worst rule I've ever heard in a sporting event.
I will.
Somebody just shouted, "I want to see the handbook."
I'm pulling it up right now.
I agree. We're gonna go try to find a little more.
That is Caden Mills' mom who said that.
So yeah, I agree with Mrs. Mills. So apparently it is a penalty to hurdle.
And a sideline warning to add on to it.
That is, without a doubt, the dumbest rule I have ever heard in my life. You are not able to hurdle people in high school football. Is that an MIAA rule or?
Looking it up right now.
We have our best stats guys on that, trying to figure that out. So I'll have to think Arlington will just go into victory formation here. No, they're still lining up to play.
Darian Cherry in the backfield.
And they give him. And he heads down. Belmont will once again be taking a timeout, making this the longest 1 minute in the history of football. Mills is heading back in.
So the rule is once an opposing player has more than one or both feet contacting the ground, the hurdle becomes legal. I don't know.
I'm looking at this website that he's using, and I don't trust this website.
Yeah, but I can't find the MIA.
You're looking at the Wikipedia of football rules right now. So Arlington will finally be able to run out the clock. They didn't even need to run a play. And that will be a comeback victory for the Arlington Spy Ponders. They win by a score of 35-21. An incredible victory for the Spy Ponders. They move to 3-3 on the season. Belmont will move to 3-3, 2-1 within the league. A spectacular Saturday victory for the Spy Ponders.
Looking up the rule, I'd have to watch a video that's 5 minutes long to figure it out.
Well, we don't need to do that. But Miles, some parting thoughts on this game.
Great game from the Spy Ponders. Caden Mills, spectacular game, 3 touchdowns. Jacob Kerbel also had 2 receiving touchdowns. This is very similar to the Salem game.
And the 2-point conversion.
And the 2-point conversion for Jacob Kerbel, who's had an amazing senior year so far. He leads the team in tackles. He has 300 receiving yards before this game, so call it 420. And he also has 8 touchdowns on the season. We will now send you down to Nick Antonakis, who is interviewing head coach Frank Roach.
I am lucky enough to be joined by head coach of the Arlington Spy Ponders, Frank Roach. Frank, thanks so much for taking the time. First off, huge win by the Spy Ponders here today. You guys trailed by 14 going into half. How did you corral the troops and get back into this one?
Yeah, we just stuck to our game plan, right? We knew what we had to do. We just weren't executing as well as we could in the first half. Once we start stringing things together, we start to gain that confidence and just keep it going.
Now, heading into your next game this upcoming Friday, you guys even out your record at 500, 3-3 going into that. How important is this next game in terms of your playoff outlook?
It's huge, right? We're trying to make the playoffs, and we're trying to make some noise in the playoffs. It's a league game, so obviously we're going to be up for that. Winchester's a great team, and we're gonna prepare hard and hopefully have a great week of practice next week.
Well, best of luck next week against Winchester. We'll be there. I'll let you go, and we'll throw back to the booth. Brendan and Miles, close us out and take us through some highlights. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Nick. Great work on the sideline today. As you can see how fired up Coach Roach is. A huge win for the Spy Ponders, and we will bring you some highlights that Miles will break down for you.
It's an amazing game for the Spy Ponders. We lead now a 3-2 season. Started off the game with some struggling drives for the Spy Ponders, and then the deep ball to Jacob Kerbel to go up by 7, and then the return from Belmont with the deep ball of their own to Logan. And going into the half, they were up big, but Caden Mills in the second half tore the game a storm. Beautiful job rushing for 3 touchdowns. This was the second, the rush for 2 yards, pushing into the end zone. And then the one more deep ball to Jacob Kerbel from Roshan Mendel, who got hit on the play. And then the final rush into the second point for Jacob Kerbel. We will now send you down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline.
Guys, an incredible game from the Arlington Spy Ponders, coming away with a 35-21 win. Obviously, Arlington has a big game next week going against Winchester this upcoming Friday, and ACMi Sports will be there to bring it to you. Obviously, they even their record out now to 3-3 on the season, as I said, with head coach Frank Roach. And they go into this next game with all of the marbles on the line. They look to qualify for playoffs with a win, and then that'll draw them closer to getting into the postseason. Obviously, that leaves their most important game in front of them. And as I said, ACMi Sports will be there to cover it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching today's game. A huge shout-out to our entire crew at ACMi Sports. And we'll see you next Friday for the Arlington Spy Ponders matchup against Winchester. But for now, I'm your host, Nick Antonakis. We'll see you then. Football intro, football intro, football intro.